Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking over Metalgrid. Metalgrid is a relatively high level amulet at level 81 that boasts some very interesting stats. Most notably, it gives you a huge bonus to attack rating. So as we go over this item, we will play around with Metalgrid and see what is cooking with this particular item. Now, Metalgrid has more than just attack rating on it, and as we go over it, I think you'll find that it's interesting. So we've got a 400 to 450 attack rating on this particular amulet, so it does vary by 50. We have a defense of 300 to 350, which so it does also vary by 50. Then we have a all resistances 35. Now the all resistances on this does vary from 25 to 35, so a 10 difference there. It's actually can roll 5 higher than Mara's Kaleidoscope. Right off the top of my head, that's actually pretty sweet. It can also roll 5 lower than Mara's Kaleidoscope, so there's that. It offers a level 22 Iron Golem, which is pretty interesting. 11 charges of level 22 Iron Golem. It also offers 12 charges of level 12. Sorry, 20 charges of level 12 Iron Maiden. Get a little tongue-tied there. Now let's take a look at Iron Maiden first. Iron Maiden is a Thorns ability, and in 2.4 they have promised to beef these up, but we will be taking a look at this on its merits now. So at level 12 we get a return of 475%, and it lasts for 38.4 seconds, so a very long time. So if you would like to use the Iron Maiden on here, I feel like that's actually pretty decent duration, and 20 charges is a pretty decent number of charges, and it could come in handy in certain situations. Unfortunately, Thorns is just not really that effective in the current version of the game. A long time ago, they nerfed the crap out of Thorns, and they never quite fixed it. Now, what this amulet has on it that is probably the most drawing thing is the Iron Golem. The problem with the Iron Golem on this, however, is that it is not the Necromancer's Iron Golem. You will not get the Golem Mastery, you will not get the Summon Resistance, and you will not get any synergy bonuses from other things. Now you can potentially use this on a Necromancer to simply bypass putting points into the Iron Golem, and it's not exactly a bad idea, because what this would allow you to do, it would allow you to put on this amulet, summon forth a level 22 Iron Golem, not have to worry about putting points into the Iron Golem, and still get your synergy bonuses as well. But if you were to use this on a non-Necromancer, there is some interesting side effects. So let's talk about really quickly what kind of items that you would use, and then we'll talk about those side effects. So let's take Immortal King Stonecrusher, which is a fairly common item. People find it very often. It has 40% increased attack speed, which is what would our nice little Iron Golem would get. He would also get the enhanced damage, the damage to demons, the crushing blow, all of which are very nice. It also has 2 sockets in it, so we could potentially just take 2 gems and we could put them in there before we make it, and this would also transfer to the Golem. So you know what? Let's put 2 soul runes in there. Sounds kind of neat. Plus minimum damage, so have plus 18 minimum damage. And then we're going to create this Iron Golem. So we have to make sure we have the amulet on. If you take the amulet off, he will die. So definitely don't want that to happen. And keep in mind that Iron Golems can only be created out of items of metal, which is very important in this particular case. You can beef him up, so if you're a barbarian or something, you can give him some shouts, which will increase his HP. So very nice. Now, a level 22 Iron Golem has some very basic statistics. He has about 400 and... Actually, it's right here on the bar. So why don't I just take a look? So he's got 980 life. He's got 12 to 33 damage, attack rating of 80, defense 910, mana cost 35, and thorns damage of 465% returned with a defense bonus of 770. Now, what you need to think of with Iron Golem is that when you make Iron Golem out of an item, it's as if he's wearing it. And this is important because if you make your Iron Golem out of something that has an aura, like for instance, this is Destruction. Does Destruction have an aura? I'm looking for one with an aura. Of course, this one does not. I don't have one with an aura. But if you do make him out of one with an aura, he will keep the aura. That is the really cool thing about the Iron Golem. Now, the quirks of the Iron Golem. Once you create your Iron Golem on a non-Necromancer character, you can use that Iron Golem in that game for however long you would like. However, if you leave the game and you rejoin... Actually, you know what? I haven't tested this since Diablo 2 Classic, now that I think about it. They may have fixed it, so I guess we're going to find out. In the original version, it used to refund you the money for the Golem. And I don't even have the money. That's sad. The Golem is just gone. Quite sad. Oh, the sadness. So let's see how much it costs to repair our charge. So it is 25,618 for the Iron Golem, which is pretty okay. Considering that you would summon him only once, probably, for the entire duration of an area, and you would probably make him out of something pretty powerful, but irreplaceable. You wouldn't really have to worry about it too much. You're not going to make him out of an Insight Polearm or a Infinity or anything like that, because quite honestly, since he's not going to stay in between your runs, that's kind of the down point. And like I said, if you do use this on a Necromancer, the Necromancer can keep the Iron Golem as long as he has 1 point in Iron Golem. He needs to have at least 1 point in Iron Golem. The downside to this, however, is that the Iron Golem is resummoned at the level that the Necromancer has, not at the level that the Amulet is, as far as I remember. And this means that when the Necromancer rejoins a game, even though the Golem will stay, the Golem will be resummoned at the level 1, not at the level 22, which is not so great. It's an interesting amulet in theory, giving access to the Iron Golem to non-Necromancer characters, but in practice, not as great. Keep in mind that Iron Golems created out of ethereal items will become ethereal. They will gain all effects, pretty much, that you have on an item. So if you have an item that has open wounds, they'll get open wounds. If you have an item that's crushing blow, they'll get crushing blow. If you have an item that has freezes target, or hits blinds target, or slows target by, all of these effects will be extremely viable for your Iron Golem. And aside from the Iron Golem and the Iron Maiden, this amulet actually is kind of nice with the 450 bonus to attack rating and the all resistance is 35. It does lack +2 to all skills and some of the other interesting things like Deadly Strike and increased attack speed that a lot of the other amulets have, but it still is a relatively sweet amulet. Now, where could you find this particular amulet? Because it is such a high-level amulet, it's probably not going to drop from very many places. And it's important for you guys to remember this when it comes to Metalgrid, is that it is a relatively high-level amulet. And it's probably only going to drop from some extremely high-level monsters, like Bale, Diablo. I do believe that Bloodraven in Hell difficulty has a very tiny % chance of dropping this item, as well as Iswal, Mephisto in Hell. And then as for super uniques, we are looking at some pretty crappy chances here, but Neelathak and Hephaesto have a decent chance. Everybody else has a pretty awful chance, but there are some other options like Coldworm the Burrower, Grand Visor of Chaos, Infector of Souls, Lord Deceased, Battlemate Serena, Icehawk, Riftwing, Bonebreaker in the Crypt. But these are like 1 in 112,409 chances. Really, really terrible. As far as areas are concerned, we've got some pretty crappy chances on a lot of this stuff, but Worldstone Keep and Throne of Destruction feature very prominently, as well as River of Flame, Pit level 1 and 2, and the Maggot Lair as well. Ancient Tunnels also. So I mean, it's basically level 85 zones set up. I really hope that they take another look at this and they kind of fix Metalgrid a little bit. I would like to see, number one, the Golem remain in between games, because that would make it more interesting. I would also like to see them maybe add something to this amulet, something that would make it a little bit more useful for specific characters. I don't know, maybe even just like a 10% increase to attack speed. Something tiny that would make the Metalgrid more commonly used among level 81 characters. I feel like they just made this a really, really, really high level, and then they didn't really give it like the best stats. The other problem here is that at level 81, a level 22 Iron Golem with no synergies in Hell difficulty is relatively weak. And I just don't understand why it had to be level 81. They could have made this a lot lower. All in all, I think that the Metalgrid amulet is more of just a fun thing, just so that you can have an Iron Golem, even when you wouldn't normally otherwise. There's really not much more to say about it other than that. The only other thing I could think of is that I do remember these being kind of glitchy as well. So, you know, the issues revolving around the Iron Golem on Metalgrid are many. But one of the, I think, the most glaring and horrible is that it just tends to unsummon itself on occasion. And I'm not sure if it has to do with equipment checks or whatever, but like you literally be running along and all of a sudden your Iron Golem just disappears. And it doesn't seem to have any particular reason why it decided to disappear other than maybe it thought that you took off the amulet. Because if you do take off the amulet, for instance, let's use this, this Blood Moon Blade. If you do take off the amulet, he dies. You know, you obviously, if you did not take off the amulet, you don't deserve him dying. But it's very sad when he dies for no reason. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when they are about rather silly items like the Metalgrid amulet. Can you find a specific use for the Metalgrid amulet? Have you worked it into one of your builds? Let me know. And as always, keep watching.